everyone, and welcome to today's Bluecoat Talks. My name is Jennifer Beaudry, and I'll be your host for today, and we're welcoming Samantha Espley to the table. So Samantha is a professional engineer with over 25 years experience in leadership of multidisciplinary teams of experts and programs in the mining industry. She is a proven leader in mining transformation, bringing innovative solutions to our industry. She is instrumental in the creation of technology and innovation roadmaps and working with a wide range of stakeholders. She is the president of the Canadian Institute of Mining, Metallurgy, and Petroleum and an active director on the boards of Morocco, Laurentian University School of Engineering, Center of Excellence in Mining Innovations, and the Canadian Academy of Engineering. Now, throughout her career, Samantha has had a number of awards. She's received the CIM Service Award, the Women in Mining Trailblazers Award, Professional Engineering of Ontario Management Award, as well as the Governor's General Gold Medal Award, which is absolutely wonderful. So Samantha, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited, Jennifer, to have a chat with you today and have some discussion about the mining industry and what's so amazing about it.
Now, you've had quite an exciting career in mining, but one of the questions I've always had is, when did you know? Have you always known at a young age that you wanted to be in this sector?
Well, I would say no, I didn't. I didn't really know that I was going to end up in mining. I was like most kids, watching TV and seeing like some role model on there that I wanted to be like when I grew up, being a lawyer or something like that. And my dad's a mining engineer. And so I would often hear stories about the mining industry over the dinner table at night. And it always, I guess, piqued my interest. At some point, I started spending summers in Sudbury and in Manitoulin Island and in the north of Ontario around Cobalt and up to Timmins and those areas because my uncle liked to go traveling with us in a tent trailer. And he's a geologist. So he started to show us rocks and just things started to gel in my mind. And it wasn't until I was almost at the end of my high school career and I was looking for, oh my God, what am I gonna sign up for my next step in my life? And I had a guidance counselor who said, yeah, you're really good in math. Why don't you think about engineering? And I said, yeah, okay, I'll go into engineering. And I just picked mining. It just clicked for me that day. I just said, yeah, I'm going to follow in my dad's footsteps. I'm going to be a mining engineer. And
now with graduation taking place right now, so a lot of grade 8 virtual graduations and grade 12 virtual graduations happening. There may be a lot of students out there thinking maybe career in mining may be where they want to go, or others that have absolutely no clue about the mining industry and what it has to offer. You were able to make that connection very quickly on. I know for me, it took a while longer to figure out that the mining industry was my passion. But were you surprised at the number of pathways that could be taken within the sector?
I am. I guess I came into the mining industry quite naive. I'd fully admit it. And not really knowing anything about the history of mining and not really understanding the culture and how mining has come to be in the state it is today. Really, I had no idea. I know when I first started, there weren't a lot of women in mining, and that was like shocking to me. I was like, well, where are all the other women, And it wasn't until years later that I realized that the governments had legislation actually prevented women from working underground and prevented women from working in mining plants. And so mining companies just couldn't hire women, and women couldn't apply for those jobs. So it was, other than sort of a couple little stints during the war when the legislation was relaxed a little bit. But it really opened my eyes to say, oh, I really understand why there's not a lot of women now. It isn't that women didn't want to be in the world of mining. And it wasn't because the mining companies didn't want women there. It was the laws that were creating that barrier. And with those laws disappearing, now you see more and more women coming into the industry, as an example. And when you're working in the industry, what I find is that it's not just engineers and geologists. Obviously, that's pretty important when you're designing and running mines. But there's also human resources, the legal teams, you need financial experts, you need to have people in the health and safety field, in wellness, mental illness, helping in so many different facets, working with the governments, Indigenous communities, a lot of communications, science communications, working in supply and service sector, academia, government. There are just so many nuances and opportunities to be in this industry, rather than just being, say, on a drill or working in a track or working as a geologist or engineer. It's just such a wide variety of opportunities in the industry and all around the world, Jennifer. If when I had no idea, well, I knew my dad did a lot of traveling in his job as a mining engineer, but it wasn't really until I started working, I could see there are always opportunities to work in Newfoundland or Manitoba or Indonesia or Brazil, or just so many opportunities opened to go all around the world. And it's just opening more and more every year as tremendous opportunities for the industry.
Now, when it comes to the mining industry, a lot of people may think, now that we're understanding more the financial, legal, and all of those aspects, biologists also end up playing a role in the mining sector as well when we're looking at regreening and the environmental implications when it comes to mining, correct?
Massively important role is the environmental side, and definitely biologists understanding the impact of the mining industry and how to reverse. You see that around Sudbury right now, a lot of the damage from decades ago when they did outdoor roasting and those type of technologies, and how we brought in new technologies and new processes to prevent damage to the environment, and how do we continue to be more and more responsible. And also, how do we look back and repair some of the damage that was done from the past activities? And so a huge amount of focus on that area, where we need scientists in the field. We have people taking air quality measurements, understanding the soils, understanding the water, all the aquatic life. Yeah, you name it. On the biology side, it's such an important part of the industry going forward.
Now, throughout your journey, were there specific moments, like punching moments, where you said, okay, now I'm going to take this other step, or I'm going to follow this new opportunity that's presenting itself? Were there people that helped guide you along that route?
Yeah, there were. I would say I've taken a number of different steps throughout my career. Now I've been in mining for 30 years, so ever since I graduated from the University of Toronto, and I've relocated. I've had I'd be in research for a number of years, really enjoyed it. And then I would have a mentor who'd, I'd reach out, we'd have a conversation, said, why don't, do you want to change? I'm like, yeah, I would really love a change. Okay, well, there's a new job opening over here. Are you interested in that? And I'd have opportunities to move into on the operating side of the mine, working in the planning. I had opportunity to be a foreman and a general foreman working in our deepest mine in Sudbury, which is Creighton. So I was accountable for the production at that mine, and had an opportunity to work with the workers, the mechanics, IMs, electricians. I've really had a really great opportunity. I worked in projects. And then my latest role was in a corporate role. So I worked for the corporate offices. Most people would know most of the corporate offices are in the big cities, and Bally's is in Toronto. So I worked for the corporate office in Toronto and did traveling all around the world, working on technology and innovation designs and roadmaps for our mines for the future. And that was really exciting work. And I would say, when you said who has impacted me, I had no shortage of mentors throughout my career. So people that are very interested. I was also really lucky to have been involved in the creation of something called WISE, Women in Science and Engineering. And we created a chapter here in Sudbury where it's women in those science and engineering fields. And we'd get together and really mentor and support each other, as well as doing outreach, teaching young kids about science and engineering as a career choice potential for particularly for the young girls. So yeah, I've really had a lot of networking abilities and people that I have around me to help with any of those career decisions, and of course my husband, he's always been to give me some guidance.
It's great to have a good support system in back of you to allow you to grow and develop all of these new skills along the way. When we look at the mining industry, even over the past 30 years, I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes, and even more so now with the digitization of the mines and the future of mining. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I have such a passion for transforming the mining industry. It's high tech. It really is. It's a high tech industry. If you look at any of the equipment that we have underground, any of the software that we use, just the safety systems that are in place, controlling of fans and energy systems, I mean, the list is endless. It's really exciting. My start in my career was really in research and development, and we were working on something called teleremote operations. So having an operations center on surface, and we have mining equipment underground, and being able to communicate and operate equipment from the surface. And a lot of the challenges really were around the communication systems. How do you communicate wirelessly through rock? And that's not such an easy thing to do, right? And so over years, decades, new technologies have come up, and we're now able to bring wireless technologies underground, which creates a huge opportunity for underground mining technology. So you imagine your phone, you're able to use a phone underground, call, get help. I have a problem with this piece of equipment. You can call manufacturers. We can put people in touch with each other and get access to information right away, where that wasn't the case 30 years ago. So that alone, and Jennifer, has really created a massive opportunity for underground mining. And you see that as well in surface mining and in the processing plants, where software, communication systems, the digitization, as you say, is really transforming our industry and allowing us to do things much more clever, more effective, and safer, to be honest, and more responsible as mining companies.
I'm very much like you. This is a huge passion of mine, where the future, the present and future of mining is going, this modern mining, and getting away from the stigma of the pickaxe and shovels, and really painting that picture of what is mining, that the automation, the coding, the work that goes into this is just spectacular. I know a lot of people have brought up the issue of, with all this new technology, though, you're decreasing the amount of jobs. Is that the case? Or is it just different?
Yeah, I would say it's just different. Exactly. If you think about the number of workers in a mining company, perhaps if you just looked at that, you would see like Inco, a lot of people know Inco in Sudbury, now Valley, has reduced its workforce over the years, without a doubt. And why that is because we've become more mechanized, and we have the automation, and we have those other ways of doing the work. Then we don't have carpenters anymore, for example, or blacksmiths. That's not required anymore. But what is different now is a lot of the work would do in-house. Like, for example, I was in-house research and development. That work isn't done in-house anymore. It is done by experts in research and development. So it could be with universities and colleges and those groups, or even with small and medium enterprises. They may be doing some research, or NORCAT, different organizations will be doing the research. different organizations now will take on the software development. You don't do that inside the mining companies anymore. And so although the mining companies may have fewer people because of automation and all the rest of it, the other companies that support the mining ecosystem are growing, and the whole of the industry is still very large, if not growing. There's so many jobs. Like if you don't get a job within a mining company, you could be working for one of the other supporting companies, or in the government or in the academia world.
There's a lot more branches when you start looking at the mining ecosystem than just the direct mining companies. So for our viewers that are just joining us now, I'm speaking with Samantha Espley, all about career opportunity in our mining sector. And you can please send us in your questions. If you have anything, you can type them into the chat. We do have a really interesting question coming in now, and it's all around how do we get kids interested in careers? So youth interested in careers. We see a lot of romancing or romanticization of different careers in pop culture, but mining is usually associated more of something from the past. So how do we spin this around?
That's a fantastic question, and I'm not necessarily sure I have the answer. I would say that the mining industry has been pretty humble, and we haven't necessarily done a very good job in saying all the wonderful things that we do, all the amazing jobs that we have, how high tech it really is, how safe it really is. And that is actually a key piece of work that I have on my plate right now. So I'm, president of the CIM, Canadian Institute of Mining. And our goal as CIM is technical excellence and sharing and networking there for all of our members across Canada. It's also about ensuring there's communication of the benefits, the essential services that the mining industry brings to society. And we've tried to create a really fun, interactive, scientific story, if you like, about the mining industry, and working with Science North in the creation of a traveling science exhibit. And it will really help, I think, to educate society, everybody in society, about the great opportunities, the science and behind the mining industry, and help to, I think, educate parents as much as children of the opportunities, because we want to guide our children. I have 4, and I want to guide them, into a good path as well, into a good career. And by the way, 3 of them are in the mining industry, and one of them wants to be a doctor, but that's okay. We'll forgive her for that. And so I think that teaching society at large is one piece of it. I think continuing to have these type of webinars, is access to information, is another way to do it. There are a lot of outreach opportunities going on, and activities through WISE, that Women in Science and Engineering. They are reaching out and educating kids about science and mining as a part of that. There's even outreach to the high school kids when they're getting into that time when they need to pick their next steps on university programs or college programs, where mining people will come in and say, hey, don't forget about us. There's really great jobs here, well-paying, very career satisfying, lots of opportunities. And if you like to travel, it's a great industry to be in. I think there is a growing momentum to get the word out. And I think it's going to start with parents, teachers talking about it and sharing that. And of course, with Science North and their fantastic ways of getting information out to society is also going to be another great avenue to get the word out.
Thank you. We love working with all of our industry partners. And I think that's been my greatest pleasure. My greatest achievement is meeting so many different people from the industry and how collaborative people are. It's not a competition out there. With the supply industry, supporting the bigger mining companies, it's really a collaborative approach to the research, the new technologies, the working together for that better future with everybody. So it's one big happy family, actually. What's also been really interesting is bringing that awareness of the different career paths. So we're talking about the different ecosystems of the supply and services industry. So what would have been typically associated with mining, so being underground, doing the drilling, doing the blasting, mucking it out, bringing it up to surface, and producing the product that we need. There's a lot more to these steps. Yes, those are general steps, but there's people that are supporting just an individual piece of this puzzle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, Jennifer, when you consider a mine, an operating mine, and let's assume it's an underground mine, you have the miners that do the actual development, the tunnels. They make the tunnels, they drill, they blast, like you said, they move the waste material out and come back in, and they'll put in ground support and then continue that process. And then the production is really around removing the mineralization. That is the value for why we have the mining company. And that again is drilling and blasting and then moving the ore out and sending it off to the mill. All of that, it takes mechanics and industrial mechanics and heavy duty mechanics. We take electricians because we have electricity underground. We need people that are experienced in dewatering because we have water that comes into the mine, groundwater, and we need to get it out of the mine so it does not create a flood. We have the engineering staff. In the engineering office alone, the people that are doing the designs and what they call the layouts, the prints, the documents that they give to the miners, those are engineers, like mining engineers. We have rock mechanics engineers who make sure the ground is safe and stable and designed properly. We have ventilation engineers and technicians who measure the air and make sure it's safe and clean and at the right velocity and amount of air and cool. That's an interesting area of how you cool air for deep mining because it's very hot. It can be very hot. You have surveyors, so they'll go down and make sure that the tunnels are where they're supposed to be, and on and on. There are so many. The geologists are obviously very important. They are down checking into every production area to make sure that yes, that's the right mineral, and yes, it's at the right grade, so that it will make money and it needs to go to the mill. You have all of the support staff in the offices as well, and as well as management. You need to have the office management. You have human resources in every mine for any type of human resource questions around policies, vacation, that kind of stuff. There's a whole network of different skill sets that are in the mine to make it run, as well as operating a mining company. So everything from IT through to the technical reporting, for example.
So with everything, it all comes back to one thing though. Why are we mining? Why is it important that we continue mining even today?
Mining provides essential products for society. So if you're looking at me right now on a computer screen or in your home, you're using products from the mining industry. If you look around you and you can see your toaster or your refrigerator or any wiring in your lighting, it all comes as an essential product from the mining industry. Even the fertilizers that you put on your grass to make it so nice and green is coming from the mining industry. I think this, we have a health crisis right now, and we have a pandemic. There will be, I think, even, mining has been deemed by the governments an essential service because we are providing, say, the iron ore, the nickel, the products that go into making respirators, that make MRI units in your hospitals. It makes so many products. Even again, of sparkling water. It's just an essential service, Jennifer. We provide all of those I guess, foundational products that society requires.
The best saying that I've always heard is, if you can't grow it, you need to mine it. And it is so true. Everything around us, we're surrounded by products that are brought to us because of the mining sector. And we have a role to play. It is an essential service, as you've said. And to do it responsibly, I think that is the point we're at. It's about being sustainable for now and for our future.
Yeah, that's, and we're talking about pandemic. We can talk about, the climate change. The solutions will come from the mining industry. So creating the nickel, creating the products that we use in batteries, for example. So we're getting away from carbon-based engines in our cars to go into electric motors. For example, it'll come from the mining industry, and we're very cognizant of that as an industry, very cognizant of how much carbon gets emitted from even operating mines and plants, and finding very green, energy efficient ways of operating our plants for the future. And a lot of mining companies actually have put objectives in their sustainability reports that come out every year, with really targeting, saying by 2050 we have net zero carbon emissions, and we want to eliminate waste, for example, as a goalpost. We want to eliminate harm to people. We want to work with our Indigenous communities. We want to work collaboratively, and those are very important goals, as you say, for the industry, because it is about being responsible in terms of our role in delivering an essential product to society, and doing it in such a responsible way, and in a collaborative and open, transparent way.
It has been such an exciting process and an exciting journey for you, for your 30-year career in mining, to be able to get from that point of, yes, I'm going to go into engineering, to being able to oversee all of the various teams. Now, your heart seems to be very much in that research and development. What was your favorite project that you've ever worked on? I know I have to ask a hard one there.
If I have a favorite, I would say one of my early fun projects, other than tele-remote mining, but was working on an innovative mine design. And it was working on a design for what is Coleman Mine, which is in Levack, Ontario. And really with a collaborative team, and I was leading this project, and we were able to come up with a very safe, very I would say innovative way of mining the ore body. And I created quite a document, mine design package, that went out to the mine. It was actually built in the way that we had designed it, some modifications over time, but it was I think an opportunity for me to really get confident in being a team leader, and bringing innovation, and having the industry accept it, and saying, yes, we want to continue that. Leapfrog, and maybe 10 years later, working on a really fun project again for an amazing CEO who wanted us to put in a brand new mine, like build a new head frame in Sudbury. And it was a really fun project, very innovative as well. It was the Coppercliff project, and joining this massive number of ore bodies together with a brand new type of mine and approach, which was a lot of fun. And now at the tail end of my career, working in technology and innovation, and creating roadmaps for the mining company to follow, working with all the stakeholders to identify all the projects over time, and what these were going to provide back to industry, and what they provide to the communities where we operate, was really probably the final really fun piece of work that I did while I was working in the industry. And I'm like retired from that work now. I've worked now in a consulting role, and things are still as fun as ever, working with some really fun clients where we're looking at innovative mining methods again. So I'm sort of come full circle back to innovation in mine design.
What led you to be in the present role that you're in as the president of CIM?
That was a real honor to be asked to step in to lead such an amazing organization as the CIM. CIM is a national body and represents mining from coast to coast in Canada, and we even broader. We do have some of our members that are living in other parts of the world. In 122 years, CIM has been around, really about creating technical excellence, creating that network and how you create technical excellence, and the outreach to society and educating how amazing and essential the mining industry is, really. And I had, I guess, one of my old mentors had when nomination time came up and said, yeah, Sam, would you like to take this on? It's a 4-year commitment. And he essentially said, oh, it's only 4 meetings a year. Don't worry about it. He's not quite correct, but you know what? I jumped at the chance. I've been involved with the CIM since I graduated from university. So that's 30 years. Because CIM, it connects us right across the country, and it's a really important network to share information, what you're learning with peers, and that's what it provided for me throughout my career. And we have a really strong branch here in Sudbury, CIM Sudbury branch, and we not only connect and celebrate excellence, but we a lot of fun activities together, and it's a good way to get to know each other. So I've always loved the CIM. I've always felt that it's an amazing organization. And so for me to step into that role was just a no-brainer. I said, yes, for sure. Sign me up. I'm humbly accepting.
Well, it is an honor, and I'm so happy that you took up that challenge and that you are heading up CIM for the next, I believe it's 3 years left?
2 years. This year, and become past president next year, and just to help on it's kind of odd. It's sort of a incoming, and then you're vice president, and then past president. So this year I'm president.
They have a very good system to ensure consistency and sustainability throughout their model, which is amazing. And I'm so happy that we're going to keep working with you throughout your journey through CIM. And afterwards, I continue to really enjoy working with you. Now, if you had to impart one piece of knowledge or advice on somebody that's in their secondary or post-secondary education, thinking or on the fence about mining, what would you share with them?
Well, I would share, if you're on the fence, that's good. That means that you're really thinking about it. And I would say, call somebody and talk to them. I call a couple people and just talk to them about the industry and kind of gauge what works well for them and what challenges they've had, and just to be, I think, transparent in what value there is, and see if it aligns with who you are, like what value you want to bring. If you want a fun career, I think it's been really great for me. I think there's so many people who will agree that there's so many opportunities in the industry, and if this avenue doesn't work, you can try a different path. It's been really good in that respect. And if you need somebody to call and you want to talk about it, I'm here. I'm more than happy to talk to anybody about the mining industry if you want to do a personal one-on-one conversation.
I think that is probably the most memorable piece of information. Even I reached out to a number of people initially before getting involved in the mining sector, and grew up with parents in the mining sector, involved in the mining sector as well. But also always getting that second point and different views and different career paths really helps set the stage. And where you start out may not be where you end up in the end. That is probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned. And I'm pretty sure, Sam, you're in that same boat.
definitely. I probably learned that a little late, and just got up the nerve one day to go and talk to somebody and ask for advice on the next career move. And that mentoring wasn't really a predominant word even used when I was at that stage in my career. And so, but since then, mentoring is, been, I would say, well publicized now, how important it is to have somebody to help to mentor you, me. I still have mentors, and so I think it's always really important. You can just call them your best friend, as somebody to have a coffee and just bounce something, or a tea, or a pop, or whatever, a glass of water, just something, just to get together and talk about what really is your passion. What do you want to do in your life?
Thank you so much for joining us today, Samantha. This was really great information, and I do hope that we were able to at least provide additional questions for people out there thinking about the mining industry. And this is a time to reach out and learn more and learn about the different opportunities and talk to people about this. Mining is an important part of our society. Like you've said, it's an essential service. So if you have additional questions and we weren't able to get to those today, not to worry. Keep sending those in, and we're going to make sure that we're going to answer all of the questions, and we'll connect you with the right people along the way to make sure that those are answered. So Samantha, thank you so much for joining us today. It was such a pleasure and an honor speaking with you.
You're welcome, and thank you, Jennifer, and to those watching for your interest in the mining industry. And I hope I was able to portray a little bit of it for you, and maybe put a little bit of a different perspective. Good luck to all of you. Stay safe.
Everybody stay safe. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.